Do you ever think of the Proverbs 31 woman as a mythical, Pinterest-worthy deal? Think again. From Lydia, the dealer of purple cloth, to the CEO of a vineyard in Proverbs 31, the Bible businesswomen knew how to hustle, and they did it with grace, grit, and God in the mix. Let's dive into the stories and discover how these women thrived in the ancient marketplace, leaving legacies that still inspire us today. The Proverbs 31 woman is found, of course, in Proverbs 31. Here, the Proverbs 31 woman is the ultimate multitasker. This is the wife of noble character. She is a businesswoman, a homemaker, a philanthropist, and an investor, all rolled in one. Far from being confined to her household, she is actively involved in trade and agriculture. She considers a field and she buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. This might sound familiar because that's Proverbs 31, verse 16. She's also into textiles, producing linen garments and selling them to merchants. Yet her business acumen doesn't overshadow her role as a mother and a community pillar. She rises early, provides for her family, and ensures that her household is clothed for every season. Yes, if you're not rising early, forget about being a Proverbs 31 woman. She stands out because of her success. Her success isn't just about profit, it's driven by purpose. She uses her wealth to help the poor and the needy and maintains a reputation of wisdom and kindness. She is the original work-life balance guru, showing us that thriving in a career and having a meaningful home are not mutually exclusive. Think of her as a small business owner who juggles spreadsheets, PTA meetings, and community service, all while keeping her family well fed and clothed. Talking about business savvy, talented women, every person I know who's named Lydia has always been multi talented and business oriented. They're very beautiful people with a great deal of talent. Here in Acts, we see the first mention of Lydia. She was a dealer of purple cloth. Lydia was a trailblazer in the luxury goods market. A resident of Philippi, she was a leader in the purple cloth industry, a high sought after product in the ancient world, often associated with royalty and wealth. Purple dye was notoriously expensive to produce, making Lydia's business both exclusive and lucrative. But Lydia wasn't just a savvy entrepreneur, she was also known as a woman of faith. When Paul and his companions arrived in Philippi, they found Lydia at the riverside prayer meeting. As Paul shared the gospel, the Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. Her response was immediate and generous, of course. She and her entire household were baptized, and Lydia opened a home to Paul and his companions, making it a hub for every church in Philippi. Lydia's story stands out because it is a testament to the harmony of faith and enterprise. Her wealth didn't lead to greed, but to generosity. She used the resources to support God's work, becoming a key figure in the establishment of the Philippian church. Lydia could easily be a modern luxury brand owner who not only excels in her field, but also uses a platform to give back to her community and support her faith. Are you the Lydia of today? From the New Testament, we dive back to the Old Testament in 1 Kings chapter 17, where we meet the widow of Zarephath. The widow of Zarephath wasn't a businesswoman in the conventional sense, but her story reveals entrepreneurial resourcefulness. During a severe drought, this widow was down to her last handful of flour and a little oil. She was preparing a final meal for herself and her son when the prophet Elijah showed up asking for food. If you remember her story very well, she had said, "I'm going to prepare this food and I eat with my son and we die." Despite her dire circumstances, she obeyed Elijah's request, making him a small loaf of bread first, even though she had nothing. Her faith was immediately rewarded. The jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run out. This woman stands out because she was a widow with a willingness to take a risk with what she had. The little that she had exemplified faith-driven resourcefulness. She made the most of her limited resources, and God multiplied them abundantly. This woman reminds us of the single mom or small-scale entrepreneur who stretches every dollar and still manages to give generously, trusting that God will provide. In the circumstances that we live in today, are you able to sacrifice and share the little you have, trusting that God has your back? Moving on to 2 Kings, we meet the hospitality tycoon. Her name is the Shunammite woman. The Shunammite woman is known for her generosity and entrepreneurial spirit. She and her husband were wealthy landowners in Shunem. Recognizing the prophet Elisha as a man of God, she persuaded her husband to build a furnished upper room for him, complete with a bed, a table, and a lamp. A kind of ancient Airbnb, as you may. Her generosity did not go unnoticed. Elisha promised her a son, fulfilling a deep desire she hadn't dared to voice. When the child later fell ill and passed away, her faith in Elisha's God led to his miraculous resurrection. The Shunammite woman stands out because she used her resources to bless others, creating a legacy of faith and hospitality. Her story shows wealth, when coupled with generosity, can become a very good vessel for God's miracles. She is a philanthropist who not only supports and causes the best for people financially, but also creates lasting relationships and opportunities for others. We can draw from the Shunammite woman today. Our next businesswoman is a little bit controversial. We find her in Joshua chapter 2. She is also mentioned in Matthew chapter 1. This is Rahab. She was a strategic entrepreneur. Rahab was a Canaanite innkeeper, possibly a prostitute, in Jericho. Her business placed her in a position to hear all the latest news, including rumors about the Israelites and their God. When two Israelite spies came to Jericho, Rahab hid them on her roof, risking her life to protect them. She struck a deal with the spies. In exchange for her help, they would spare her family when Jericho failed. They agreed, and Rahab tied a scarlet cord to her window as a sign. True to their word, when the city was destroyed, Rahab and her family were saved. Rahab later married Salmon, becoming part of Israel's community, where even there she appeared in the genealogy of Jesus. Well, that's the one we see in Matthew chapter 1, verse 5. Rahab stands out because of her keenness. She has a keen business sense and quick thinking, which saved her family and secured her a place in history. Her faith in God, despite her background, highlights the redemption of grace. In the modern day, she's a risk taker who uses her connections and street smarts to create opportunities, ultimately transforming her lives and the lives of others around her. A hustler, you might want to call her. Business has always been there from the beginning to the end of time, from barter trading to crypto trading. These businesswomen show us that commerce and faith are mutually exclusive, whether through resourcefulness, generosity, or bold decision making. They turned their enterprises into platforms for God's work. Their stories remind us that success isn't just about profit, it's also about purpose, legacy, and trust in a higher plan. So the next time you're chasing a dream or running a business, channel your inner Proverbs 31 woman, channel your inner Lydia or your inner Rahab, because God's economy, everything we deal with, can be part of a greater story. I hope you enjoy this, and as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Chido, and this was Growth and Grace. Have a